Well, hello and welcome to a morning cup of Jonathan. I'm your host, Jonathan Aslay, and I'm so excited to be here today. I've got my cup today that says "You're awesome," so let this be your reminder. And our topic: you can't get what you want till you know what you want. Does anyone know the Rolling Stones song? You can't get what you want until you know what you want. So, for those of you who are single, looking for love, it occurs to me that it's quite easy to feel frustrated these days because the dating realm has changed so dramatically in the last 200,000 years. Last 200,000 years. I mean, I want you to think about those Neanderthal days. How much dating was really going on right back then? You lived in a tribe, the tribe was 20 people. Basically, you mated within the tribe. And for the next couple hundred, for the next 199,000 years, that's basically, think about that. If Neanderthals are 200,000 years old, for 199,000 years, more or less, you mated within that small group of people that you knew in your proximity. And certainly as we started to evolve into larger groups of people, when we evolved to villages and to towns, you still pretty much mated right in your own proximity. So there wasn't, you weren't thinking about swipe dating, you weren't thinking about ghosting, you weren't thinking about disappear, how men disappear, you weren't thinking about emotionally unavailable men. I mean, I don't even know if the word narcissist, was came invented in the last 100 years or 200 years. I mean, not really sure how old Narcissus is or the story of Narcissus, but at least, and borderline personalities and all the different things and social media. I mean, this didn't exist. And if you think about it, a lot of this stuff didn't even exist 50 years ago. And when you think back 50 years ago, and I know many of you romanticize about the chivalrous guy who's just going to come to claim you, and all you have to do is sit in your feminine to make that happen. Well, it was a whole different time 50 years ago. And quite frankly, up until about 50 or 60 years ago, there was a big consequence if you mated with someone, if you had sex with someone, because the consequence was a child. And that all changed around the 60s when the birth control pill was predominantly being introduced, and certainly other forms of birth control, and that changed everything. So now longer do we mate with the intent of being in a committed relationship. We physically mate with people on a casual level. And I suspect with a lot of this circulating in your head, if you've actually contemplated this and you think about how do we meet people today, and again, there's basically the dating apps tend to be the most predominant place where people are meeting through the internet connection, through social media and whatnot. It's created more and more dysfunctionality. And if all of this dysfunctionality is on top of mind, if all of this is in your mind, the frustration, the disappointments, the past hurts and whatnot, if all of this is in your mind, I want you to imagine how is it going to be that you're going to attract something special if this is all in your mind, all of what's wrong out there. And I say this even for myself. I share this because I've observed that and on some level, as a coach, my job is to point out, what doesn't work. My job is to point out what's ineffective. At the same time, my job is also to point out what is effective and how the things that you can do right now, the things you can do right now to change your life. And one of the things I highly recommend, and I always recommend my book, What the Heck is Self-Love Anyway? A Journey of Personal Development, Self-Help, and Spiritual Work. You can see the link below. Why I recommend this book, and what I'm about to share to go even deeper today, is it starts with the relationship within yourself, because you can't get anything that you want in life until you have a happy you. Now, let me reframe that. You can get a lot of surface things in your life. You can get things like you have a one bedroom apartment and you want a 2-bedroom condo. Those are things you can get, and you might temporarily feel better having that. You could have a Hyundai for a car and you want a Ferrari, and you think you're going to be so much better if you have that. That's more of a guy thing probably. Okay, But those are just temporary things. I'm talking about the things that you genuinely want in your life. Most people, what I know is they want emotional connection. They want inner peace. They want a sense of purpose. Well, all of those things start from within. And this is why when I wrote my book, it's a journey of personal development, self-help, and spiritual work, so you can be better prepared to attract in a juicy, delicious relationship like I continually talk about. So how do we manifest that? How do we make that happen? Well, it starts by clearing your mind of all that doesn't work. All those thoughts about ghosting and disappearing and narcissists and players and love bombers, and start to let all that go. Let go of the rhetoric that it's hard. Let go of the idea that it's even hard to meet someone. And start to adopt a different way of looking at things. Start to adopt a way of being that already says, I am happy. I'm already happy. And when you adopt that feeling of happiness within you, more happiness will start coming in your way. And if you also want to attract a really juicy, delicious relationship, if you want to attract a man in your life, well, then start adopting the belief, the knowing, the experience of that he already is here. In fact, I highly recommend, I'm going to butcher her name, a book by Shakti Garanti called Creative Visualization. This is her workbook. Shakti Garanti. I'm butchering her name. But you can start imagining what is it like to feel into the relationship you desire, feel into the type of experience you want to have, and let go of all the negativity. Because if you want to experience this type of relationship, you see the t-shirt says, I've got your back, and there's a back missing here. This person has your back. Well, start with having your own back right now, in that healthy, happy way of just loving on oneself. Just experience that feeling of joy, that feeling of excitement within yourself. And then you'll become a magnetic attractor for more and more, and then you'll start seeing evidence. I share this from my own personal experience because I've met a woman who we've really developed a great friendship in the last few months, and I just love the way we communicate with each other, and she lives in another state. And I'm recognizing that this is what I want to feel in relationship, just the way we communicate with one another. I mean, we practically act like boyfriend and girlfriend. And if the circumstance were different, that might happen. But why I'm sharing this with you is I'm already feeling like when you start to just embody what you want to feel when you're with somebody, that sense of ease of communication, that sense of being free to be vulnerable, to be authentic, to be transparent within yourself. When you just start to embody that, that's what I love about this person, because I can be literally myself with her. And when you can operate from being purely by yourself. Now, by the way, if you as a person are a miserable person, I'm telling you, you got to fill the love cup up to become that person where you can be vulnerable, authentic, and transparent from an empowered place and not from an insecure and weak place. Because when you operate from that kind of place, you have a greater chance of attracting what you want. So my invitation for you today, if you want to change your love life, if you want to change your life in general, start to love on yourself. And loving on yourself simply means, it's self-worth, self-esteem, self-reliance, self-care, self-confidence. Embody those feelings within yourself of empowerment within yourself. That's the embodiment of self-love. And then start to radiate that out. And let go of all of what doesn't work. Just even in your head, let go of it all and replace it with what can work. And just imagine that the right person is on their way and they're just wanting to hear your signal. Where's her signal? Where's her signal? That guy's looking for you when you're radiating it from the inside out. Is this sinking in? Is this resonating with you? Please let me know. Post a comment below. All right, like to hear your thoughts on this. Again, post a comment. If this resonated with you, share this with your friends, like it, do all those types of things. If you want to check in with me and you want to work with me, check out the link below to schedule a discovery call with me. See if working with a coach is right for you. Check out my books that I recommend. And I'm going to wrap up this video as I always do. First off, giving myself a big, gigantic Jonathon bear hug of self-love. I'm going to reach into the camera and give you a hug of love if that's okay. I'm going to ask you to turn to someone, a pet, a teddy bear, a pillow. Give it or them a hug of love, because hugs are a great source of love. And let's face it, we could all use more love in our lives. Thanks a bunch. Bye-bye now. Bye-bye.